Hey y'all, this is your friendly neighborhood individuals, but we want to know: are y'all having or have you noticed any challenges with your spaces of communication? We'll talk about it a little bit more after this.
It's the Naybors Podcast with Reese and Mike. They discussing different issues that affect our streets and life. Said it's the Naybors. We the Naybors. Yeah.
Yo.
Top of the morning, Coop.
So, we're talking about communication, and here's the reason why I'm bringing it up. Once again, we're bringing up real life scenarios and situations.
Yes, sir.
And so because of this Michael Jackson clean out the closet mentality.
Wow, Michael Jackson.
I mean, because his thing was keep it in the closet. That was his song. Remember? Keep it in the closet.
My bad.
Whatever.
Bad. Yeah.
I'm trying to clean out the closet. Like I'm trying to hold on to it, right?
Gotcha.
So I'm cleaning out the closet because I think it's time to level up to another place.
Okay.
Right. And so I've been really focusing on communication.
Okay.
And being honest, open and honest in that communication.
Okay.
But I think one of the challenges have been how can you be open and honest? I'm just coming again, my own baggage, right?
Okay.
In a relationship, if you're dating someone, you can't tell everybody everything.
Nah, not yet.
But here's what I figured out for myself. Because I agree with that, right? Mm-hmm. No, not yet, whatever it is. But even if you are with that person for a while, sometimes those conversations don't come back up.
Right.
Or even in those situations, am I really going to tell everybody everything if it's going to hurt them?
And honestly, no. I mean, certain things you might have to sugarcoat it, like tell a little slight white lie not to hurt their feelings.
Right.
Right. Like me, I try to be honest as well. And, I'm too old to be blah, 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 blah,
Right.
But the thing is, because you always want somebody to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But depending on the situation, on the subject, whatever it is, you might have to tell a slight white lie just to keep the air kind of clean.
Right, yeah.
You might have to, I would do this, do that. But, that three-letter word, but.
Right.
Then you try to break it down to them the right way without hurting their feelings. But sometimes they can take that and like, oh, well, you being kind of harsh. But
right.
You ask me my honest opinion, try to give it to you.
Right.
And obviously it's not going to work. So that's when you try to change the subject or try to fade it out.
Right.
Situation.
Right.
So depending on the individuals.
I mean, and I just know that because I always used to say to the wife, I feel like you're not telling me everything. Like, I feel like something's missing, right? I would say that to her a lot. And so she was like, no, Maurice, I'm telling you everything. It would hurt her feelings and all that stuff. And then, you start looking at, I just use today's technology, YouTube stuff, right? So you look at today's, relationship gurus or whatever else talking about, hey, let's talk or whatever else, but no one wants to be honest and open and don't want to tell everything, all that type of stuff. But then I started really thinking seriously, well, Maurice, what about you? Have you told everything?
Right. How about that? Right.
And a lot of times we get caught in pointing fingers.
Right.
Instead of looking at ourselves.
Man in the mirror.
Right. Michael Jackson theme today, huh? So how can you or have you had an opportunity to sit back and say, you know what, let me be honest to my significant other, that I might like I might have told this story, but are there some other details
To that
within
story.
it
Right.
that I didn't say before? So have you ever found yourself in that position?
Quite a few times I have. And it's like, okay, you want to talk about it, but you don't want to get deep into it.
Right, right.
Because you don't know what the outcome may be. The reason why I say that, because the way they're expressing themselves, they're looking at you, you're like, okay, what are you not really telling me? I think it's more to it.
Right, right.
But that's when you pull back, because you don't want no animosity or any drama behind that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's why you like, okay, blah, blah, blah. But then you go, sometimes you might come out, I don't think this is the right time to talk about this. Let's do talk about something else, which hopefully your significant other don't harp on it.
Right.
When are we going to talk about it? There's no time. When you're ready, you're ready. You're not just going to come out, blah, 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 spill your guts.
Right.
Because basically, you're trying to keep the air clean. Once again, not to hurt that person's feelings, but
right. Right.
And sometimes also with that security. I'm not saying, you're insecure and all that, but the slight security
right
in your relationship as well.
I totally agree.
And you're not trying to like I said, start any drama and all that. You just want to, tell that person, what's really going on bothering you. But these days, you're not really going to go full pledge on telling what's going on. Bits and pieces. Only when you'll tell them when you're ready. You're ready. And hopefully you don't keep arguing, when you going to talk about it? We going to please don't keep asking me, because that's going to make me push back. I mean, pull back, not push back, pull back. And I'm just going to drag it along.
Right. Right.
I know communication is a big factor. It's important, but sometimes you're not ready to really go full pledge on whatever the scenario is. So,
and I know for myself, there's some things that I did pull back on to not hurt.
Right.
But then there were, but it went two ways. It went both ways.
Right. Exactly.
Because I can't. Am I really going to tell you about a past relationship 100%?
No.
Because I mean, and for me, there were certain characteristics I guess I had that people kept telling me more than once.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
Okay.
And so
so basically they just showing you what your red flags were, but you wasn't acknowledging that.
Right.
Gotcha.
And so here's the thing. So how am I, and I don't deal with it, right? So, but subconsciously, I am insecure or whatever it is because of whatever my past was, and I'm taking to the next relationship, all that stuff, not realizing that I'm doing the exact same thing all over again. So I'm going to tell you, I'll give you one idea. So because of my own insecurity, I might have inadvertently pushed someone into someone else's arms. Inadvertently.
Got you. Understood. Right.
You know, so if you have a girlfriend and they have a, you know, sometimes you don't realize that they do have a life before you.
Correct.
And so, but then they have this male friend, right? All of us guys have been somebody's, you know, some young lady's friend,
right,
at some point in time,
right?
You know, but you know, and that girl was just your friend. She was your homie, right? But you know, now you got me who come along, who sees this relationship. I'm insecure about the relationship, right? And so now I am like, I'm looking at how y'all interact. oh, wow, y'all got inside secrets that you and I don't have.
Right.
Y'all have communication that you and I don't have.
Right.
Right? Little code words and all those type of stuff. So
Right.
where's my code word at? Like, you get what I mean?
Right.
So now it's like, how do I deal with that? So and now when we're at home chilling and you're, laying on my shoulder or whatever else, I'm saying, well, what was that all about earlier today?
Right.
What was that all about 3 days ago? Maurice, what you talking about? That was 3 days ago. Yeah, I've been holding on to it.
Right.
I've been waiting for the right time. I guess it's the right time right now. Well, Maurice, it's not the right time, first of all, because I'm sitting here chilling, about to go to sleep.
Right.
You interrupted me in my peace.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right.
And now you're bringing this up. Now, guess what we got to do? We got to turn on all the lights. I got to be able to see you so you can see me, see you, see, whatever, right?
Right.
And now we're having this conversation about what? Yo, that's just my homie.
Right.
I don't see him like that. But now because of my insecurity,
right,
I'm saying, well, do y'all realize y'all had this? Did you see your face when you did that? Did you see how he looked at you when you got up? Did you, you asking him how you look? Well, how do you think? I think you look, whatever, right? So, and then in her quiet time, she's like evaluating what I said.
Right.
Do I really like him? Do I really like, my best friend? You know what we do have, and now they on the phone. Now they talk because they were already best friends. They were all cool friends. Now they on the, now they talking.
Right.
What's the real outcome? So did I inadvertently push her into someone else's arms?
Got you. Because sometimes sometimes people can feel like they can't talk to you about certain things.
Right.
They can talk to their friends about certain things because how you going to react, he or she,
Mm-hmm.
It could be a little slight insecurity, but also that's when maturity plays a factor.
Yeah, I wasn't mature at all.
Yeah, that's the thing, Especially when she told you met the person.
Right.
Big friends and all that. Okay, cool. But like you said, she had a life before you.
Well, see, and here's the thing, though. Like, I remember vividly, an ex-girlfriend, she, there was this guy that he wasn't into her, but he used to play around, flirt with her, right? And I knew who he was. He knew of me or whatever else. And I remember this specifically, this one time, we were walking down the street. I forgot what was going on, but it was a whole bunch of us together, and he was around. Like, it was a whole group of everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she and I are walking. He's walking in front of us. And she says, look at him bow-legged. He's really, really bow-legged or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you know what they say about bow-legged men? What the heck how am I supposed to respond to that?
Right.
You get what I mean? So now I'm like, well, I ain't bow-legged. I don't know what that means.
Right.
And so now I got to go back into my own memory bank, like, are you serious? Is that what you're saying? Like, so are you fantasizing being with this bull because he's bow-legged? You get what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
And so, but you're saying it to me?
Right.
So if I question you on it, and I say something to you, am I really pushing you into that person's arms? That was the explanation to me.
Gotcha.
So
basically, you kept using that as an excuse.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. So it's like, yo, like,
I mean,
you really like him like that?
I mean, yeah, because she could be saying it to you as a joke, but you took it to another level.
Heck yeah.
I know.
Heck yeah.
But see, with me, someone say that, I'm like, well, about women, I throw punches back. I throw that boomerang back at you.
But again, I mean, and now, let's be honest though, we were kids.
Right. Oh, yeah,
we were kids. Like, it's not like we adults.
Right,
right.
Like
you said, I have the gift now. Like, I could find a way to say something back. But at that particular time, I didn't know what to say.
Nah, we up right.
And I was already insecure because I had already been chubby all my life. So I'm just starting to thin out.
Gotcha.
And, whatever. And so So I have the chubby kid insecurity stuff.
Got you.
Going on.
Understood.
And so I'm just thankful that I got a girl.
Hey, there you go.
You get what I mean?
There you go.
And so so now what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to react or feel about it? And that was my challenge.
Gotcha.
That was my challenge. How am I, what am I supposed to say to you? What you're saying that.
Right.
And anytime you got something to say, I'm like, I know you think about that bull.
Gotcha. You kept harping on it. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
And so because of my insecurity.
Right.
So do we find ourselves in moments of insecurity where we keep harping, like as you stated, we keep harping on it,
Mm-hmm.
where am I actually pushing you into that person's arms?
I mean, with that situation, go either way.
Right.
Be honest.
Right.
Especially how that person, how they feel about you and other
Right.
person as well. But it can go either way. It's an unbalanced scale.
I mean, and so now later on you find out you tested the waters.
Right.
Right. And on top of that, you tested the waters, and he might have been a little more, because again, I grew up in the church.
Gotcha.
So I was street smart by growing up in West Philly,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't all the way street smart.
Gotcha.
You get what I mean?
Right.
Because I wasn't hanging on the street.
Gotcha. Right.
I knew of it.
Right.
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 But I wasn't in it.
Gotcha.
So so I think that also, that bad boy mentality.
Right. Oh yeah.
You
The
get
tough
what I
guy.
mean?
Man, ain't worrying about
So
we all been through that. Cool.
And some girls really gravitate to that.
This is true to this day.
Right.
To this day.
So just because I'm quiet doesn't mean that
You're a pushover.
right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right. So I think that's the thing, about communication.
Exactly.
Sometimes do we talk too much? Do we not say enough? Are we leaving key elements out? And are we even being honest with ourselves in that level of communication? Say,
Right.
hey, you know what? No, I have some real insecurities that I really need to deal with.
Right. Understood. I mean, especially now we seeing on social media. People my age, they'd rather communicate on Facebook, put their business on there, than communicate with that person.
Right.
They don't rather pick up the phone, blah, 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 have a general conversation. No, they better put it on Facebook. I'm like,
Right.
why?
I don't know.
It's
I agree.
crazy. Why?
I mean, it seemed like, it's across the board. To me, I don't care who it is. There's way more people that will want to text than talk.
Exactly. It's crazy. Talk to me.
Talk. Like no, I don't want to play that game. Cause here's the reality. If you're texting me, I don't really know your tone of voice. I don't know how hype or excited you really are in the situation.
There you go.
Knock. So if you text me 911, is it really an emergency?
Right.
So is it an emergency or is it just urgent?
I mean, if it's an emergency, you'll pick up the phone and call the person.
You would think.
You would think.
Is it an emergency? Is it urgent? Or is it just because it was important to you at that moment?
How about that?
Because then is none of the other two.
How about that? It's like you got to fill out the options.
Right. Right. Because everything is not an emergency.
Nope.
Everything is not urgent. So I need to talk to you, right? And then hear what you got to say. And now realize, nah, you getting cut for today. Because that was not important.
Nah, exactly.
That was not important. So I really want to know what y'all thoughts are on communication.
Right. How important is communication to you?
Right.
Do you take account, once again, that word, accountability for certain things?
Dude.
And go either way. It's a two-way street. Not
Right.
a one-way, it's a two-way street. You got to see that stop sign. I mean, stop.
Right.
Not
Right.
yield.
Right.
Not roll and
Right,
stop
right.
doing the Martin. You know what I mean?
I think that's the difference, man.
That's the difference. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have to understand what's really going on.
Right, especially when you're in a relationship, a deep
Yeah.
relationship, marriage, whatever situation may be.
Yeah.
I always say, the old classic saying communication is the key, but certain people still lack that communication.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
And that's always going to be like that.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
No matter what age you are, it's going to be like that.
Oh, yeah, it will be.
So,
and I think that's what we need to be, again, honest with ourselves.
honest with ourselves. That's where
honest.
that's where it starts at.
Right.
That's where it starts at. So if you're not honest with yourself, so what you think is going to happen?
Yeah, but I think that's something, again, like we talk about, with finances or anything else.
Right.
A lot of times we're not taught to be honest.
No, we're not. We're not.
We're not always taught to be honest.
But the thing is, it goes when you get older, you mature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially when you get tired, you get a certain age, you get tired of lying and all that.
Yeah.
That's too much work, man.
You would think.
You would think. You would think. Some people do it as a part-time job.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just to get over it. I'm like, come on.
Right.
Man, come on. But the thing is, you keep lying, basically you're shortchanging yourself.
Yeah.
You're shortchanging yourself on the positive channel.
Yeah.
Stick to the negative channel. It's easy to get away with on the negative channel.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Positive channel, oh man, it's too much work. I ain't got time all that. But you got time to BS though.
Yeah, you do.
So what the problem is?
Right.
Boom.
Right. Yo, y'all. You heard the mic drop, right?
Yes, sir. Well, you sure something explode, but yeah.
We'll do this.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
But y'all, we thank y'all very much for listening today.
Yes, sir. Stay cool.
And we'll talk to y'all a little later.
Peace.
Thanks for hanging out with us on the Naybors Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and felt right at home. If you like what you heard, don't be a stranger. Subscribe, leave us a review, and share this with your friends and fam. Got something on your mind or a topic you'd love to hear us talk about? Hit us up. Until next time, remember, we're all just neighbors working together for a better community. Stay safe, stay connected, and we'll catch you in the next one.